and obviously we're going to talk about this next in terms of come the summer, who is possible to lose that's not going to hurt the team too much. I know obviously Cammy did a post on Twitter asking about possibly Glenn Camara, Borna Barisic, Alfredo Morelos, etc. Tavernier. Who are the players that we almost could afford to lose but will still be fine next season even if we don't spend that much money? I'll come to you first, Cammy.
Aye, thanks for that one. To be honest, it might be controversial, but Camara, for me, in Europe, I think that is his game. I think European football is where we see the best Glenn Camara. I don't think he is a nailed-on starter in every Scottish League match. And I think, to be honest with you, I think he's one of the players that if we were to lose somebody, I'm not saying I would be disappointed, but I would rather lose Camara than Golson.
Yeah.
Sort of situation, you know. I would keep Morelos for me. I think as much as he's not had a goal scoring season like before, I think we struggle when he's not in the side, even when he's not firing, sort of thing, you know. So for me, Camara, Arribo, 2 seasons into his 4-year contract, you could sell him now and probably double your cash.
Yeah.
Sort of situation, you know. So, you know, I think Arribo's probably a name that somebody's not thought about. Hollander potentially, you know, it's. But for me, Tav, Golson, they're 2 players I want extended contracts, no matter what, you know, because they too, Griggsy, Davis, they're the leaders in our side.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's clearly not an easy question to answer because we really don't want to lose anybody. But obviously we understand that given the current situation with no supporters inside the ground, the club's obviously losing money, you know, and I think it's accepted now that 1, possibly 2 players will go in the summer. And I agree with, you know, Scott to an extent that when the summer comes around, and obviously Glenn Kamara is going to be away with Finland, his performances at that competition might just be too much for Rangers to try and keep a hold of him. And I possibly wonder if that's maybe one of the thoughts to the player as well, that there's more leverage then for the player come the summer to move because he's only got a couple of years left in his contract, whereas he signs a new contract now, Rangers have got him under contract longer, and then it's maybe not so easy to then move him on because you've made the effort to get him on a new longer contract. But I'll come to you first as well, Wolf. Would it be a disaster to lose Alfredo, knowing that we've now got Roof and Itten, or would we still need to get into the transfer market to sign somebody else if we lost Alfredo?
I think if we lost Alfredo, which I still think we probably will, we'd need to go in and sign another striker, because I don't think we'll get much out of Jermaine Defoe next season.
Right.
Just because of his age and his injuries. I mean, I'd still like Defoe about the place as a coach or a mentor or whatever. I'd still like him to be there. But I don't think we'll get a lot of games out of him, to be fair. And with the way teams play against us, our strikers are going to get injured, because that's what happens. They get injured. There's going to be suspensions along the way, because that's just what happens when you play for Rangers. And only having the 2 main strikers, we would need a third. But I mean, going back to what you were just talking about there, about the players, you know, who would go and get them on extended contracts. I think there's probably an argument. I know that I think Golson and Tavernier are coming into the last year of a contract in the summer, and Davis McGregor are out of contract. I think there's an argument to obviously give Davis and McGregor another year if they want it, and the other 2 put them on extended contracts and just say, look, sign an extension, give the Champions League a crack. It'll not do you any harm. And then if you want to go at 30, 31, you know, a year into an extended 3-year contract, we won't be difficult to deal with as long as we get a fair price for you. And that safeguards everybody. It safeguards them if they want to stay. It safeguards us if it means we get a decent price for them.
Yeah.
And if we can win this league and get into the Champions League, and these players can put in a decent showing in the Champions League against really, really good opposition. It's got to be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's always the tough thing, isn't it? How much is enough? So, Scott Kennedy, we know you love giving us a good answer. So, how much is enough for Glenn Camara?
I don't think it's a. How much is he worth? Right. I always think a player is worth. You want to get a decent amount of cash in, and then be able to bank some of the cash and spend some on a replacement. Long way round, looking at the squad and applying that to everyone. I think you can do that for near enough everyone. I think the pleasing thing for Tavernier is I think we've got a ready-made replacement in Patterson. Camara, I don't think we'll see the likes of his ability, not for a long time. You can spend £4 million on a midfielder, find someone from the continent, find someone in the lower leagues of England. They will not be as good as Glenn Camara. We literally have found a gem. So in terms of how much, there isn't a number. I mean, what I would do is play devil's advocate here a bit. Try and get him on a new contract. Say to him, look, we'll stick a release clause of 30 million quid. We value at 18 million quid. We stick a release clause of 30 million quid. Immediately, you've got that number that shines like a beacon. Yeah. It's something that, I don't know. It just seems to be a club like Manchester United. I'm not going to say Man United are going to be in for him or anything like that, but clubs just see it and as like a beacon, and it attracts them. Oh, it's a £30 million player. Let's go for it. And if he has a really good Euros, which I've no doubt he will, because he's pretty much shone in every single other game he's played for Finland and every single one I've seen him play for, then we can get a decent wage for him. But almost a bit like Davis, I don't think we're going to actually see players that can come in and take their role in the team, because we've got a very unique situation at the moment at Rangers where every single player brings something different to the team. Yeah. And that creates a fantastic balance and harmony throughout the first team squad. We've really got to keep this group of players together for as long as possible and really appreciate them while we've got them, because it'll be a long time before we get this situation again.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly coming back to you, Cammy, see, looking at somebody like Joe Arribo and Glenn Camara that you're talking about earlier, given like the new rules that's going to come in because of Brexit and homegrown players, how difficult it looks as though it could be to bring in players from the continent. Is having guys like Glenn Camara and Joe Arribo good for us if an English club comes calling, because we can maybe ask that little bit more because they'll be going to their homegrown quota?
100%. Your Man Cities and your Chelseas and sides like that. I mean, Scott's bang on. Listen, I think Camara's a fantastic footballer. Arribo's a fantastic footballer. Camara on an improved extended contract, I think, is hugely important. He's still got another couple of years to go. He's still young, sort of situation, So I think you want to try and keep the group together for as long as possible. But I think both those players, I think English clubs. I think Camara is made for the continent, and in my opinion, that's where he would be best. He'd be best suited when he does move on. Arribo, you could see him playing for a Man City or somebody like that, because he's got all the technique of the day. They talk about boys like Foden and what have you. I mean, Arribo's close controls second to none.
Yeah, well, just coming to you for the kind of last part of this. When you look at, say, somebody like Borna Barisic, and you see what the club paid for him, kind of reported to be £1.5 million, given his age, and he's probably now looking at maybe one last big payday, is this possibly the summer where you cash in a left back, or is it a concern that maybe we don't have somebody able to come in and replace him straight away?
Well, as I said previously, Willie, I think the situation we're in, I mean, Barisic he's not that old in modern football in terms. Yeah. So I don't think it would be too difficult to try if we don't have to sell, to balance the books, to say to every single one of them, look, have a crack at the Champions League, and then see where it takes you. I mean, you listen to the manager, and he says all the time, he says, look, when I come in here, I said, how long am I getting? Because it's going to take me at least 6 windows. It's going to take me 3 years to get together what I need to get together. And that's exactly what he's done. And having achieved what he wanted to achieve, I can't see any way he'd want to break that up straight away. You know, I mean, I still think he's a year ahead of where he thought he would be.
Yeah.
You know, being this far ahead, I expected him to be challenging for titles, and obviously we all wanted him to win the title, but to be unbeaten, 100% record at home, with a ridiculous defensive record with 22 clean sheets in 29 games, phenomenal. I mean, why would you want to break that squad up if you don't have to, if you can't keep it together? I mean, obviously, if somebody comes in with ridiculous money for any of the players, would be stupid not to take it. Of course we would. I mean, we've been told that that's the model going forward, is we're going to have to sell big players. But again, the players, as good as they are for us, right? Very few, if any, are going to go to top 4 English clubs.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get Champions League football if they move on. So is it really going to help them to stay for 6 months or 12 months, another 12 months at Rangers, and have a go at the Champions League?
That's a really good point.
You know, that's the holy grail for footballers. They want to win stuff. Jermaine Defoe's come to Rangers to win something.
Yeah.
All being well, he's going to win himself his first league title,
yeah.
Right? Which is absolutely fantastic for Jermaine Defoe, the footballer, right? And guys like Goldson and Tavernier and Barisic, they want to play in the Champions League. They won't get that if they move somewhere else, because they're not going to go to Manchester United, Manchester City, and play regularly in the team.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a great bargaining chip for us, unless somebody comes in with ridiculous money.
Yeah.
But it also, you make the point of, okay, at the moment, top 4 teams may not come in for them, but having seen a Champions League campaign, and who knows what the actual limit on this Rangers team is. I suppose we'll find out in the next few weeks, but let's say we qualify for the Champions League. There's nothing to say that this group of players cannot get us out of the group. If they get us out of the group, then all of a sudden that opens the door to the top 4. That really, make no mistake, that opens the door to the top 4, because all of a sudden you're thinking, hang on, Rangers were down in the dumps a couple of years ago. They've got this group of players that is taking them to the latter stage of the Champions League. There's value in this team. There's value. These players are undervalued because they play in Scotland. You'll get people, big teams sniffing around, make no mistake. So that is the challenge for them. You get him to sign a new contract. Camara is a perfect example. He has a wonderful Euros. He has a crack at the Champions League. May fall flat in his face, the team may fall flat in his face, but his value isn't going to diminish after a good Euros. So then you've got the January, perhaps he's off ski then, or perhaps he waits till the following summer. His value isn't going to depreciate that much in that short period of time. So from a Rangers perspective, it's a no-lose situation to actually, and it's probably a paramount importance to get these guys signed on a contract, to actually get them tied so they retain their value to us.
Yeah. No, I think this is a great debate, and it's certainly something we'll come back to again. I think it could well be that the manager would like the players to stay, and if we make it into the Champions League, that money that you get for the Champions League might be enough to keep that squad together. Whereas if you get knocked out in the qualifying phases, you've still got the time to look at somebody that you could sell to bring in, obviously, the deficit that the club would maybe require next season. But we'll definitely come back to this debate.
We could alternatively win the Europa League and go straight into the Champions League. So.
Hang on, what? Yeah, right, that's do you know? I'm going to say this now. I've already put my hotel in Gdańsk. I'm not saying we're going to get there, right? Because of travel restrictions, but we're definitely going to get to the final. The team is.
I thought you were going to bust a song there, Scott.
No, seriously, this is a really good point. If we win the Europa League, we qualify directly into the Champions League. What happens to our Champions League place?
I've never really looked that far into it, because obviously we've not been in it for quite a while, so I've never really looked that far into it. But I'll get Martin to do that on his time off, so he can actually do something rather than just sit behind the podcast all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Shouting at us.
Right, Cammy, I'll come to you first. Who's the player that Rangers would miss most come the summer if we had to sell him?
Alfredo. would
Right.
be my big miss.
Wolf, what about yourself?
Griggsy,
Whoa.
if he decided to chuck it.
Right. Scott Kennedy, what about you?
Oh, I need a second. I was gonna go with Alfredo because I think the team would miss him. But
Yeah.
if Griggsy left, then hang on, is it left or sold? Because Griggsy ain't gonna get sold, is he?
No, but he could potentially leave under freedom of contract potentially.
Right. So the question is leave. Yeah, it'll be Griggsy because the last thing I want is a Barkas in goal.
But yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that gives everybody the fear, to be honest. I think that's a really good time to move on.